Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be, and welcome to a post about time travel. To absorb a completely wrong description of the physics of time travel, just watch some YouTube videos on physics or science fiction. The stories you will hear are absolute nonsense. Even the books that promise to give you the real science behind science fiction are absolute nonsense, published by people who want to make money off of a sense of mystery associated with myopic interpretations of modern physics. It's fake news, folks. It's science entertainment that will make you stupider. People are not particles, and when traveling particles have to resynchronize their internal motion with a less well-traveled particle, they will heat up and get older. This means that two groups of particles have no age discrepancy at the end of a journey. I intend to rigorously debunk these sorts of time-traveling narratives at the end of this piece, but before I go down that twisty road, I would like to subject you to something more whimsical and seriously obtuse. You should keep watching because it provides the sort of mental stretch that will make you smarter. Cognitive dissonance hurts, but it is good for you. Positive entropy can be used to define a universal master clock which ticks forwards. Energy used to grow the ordered structure of memory creates negative entropy and therefore causes time to tick backward over the length scales which develop order. It's like a tree. In other words, growing trees and memory formation are physical manifestations of time moving backward. Increasing disorder is a manifestation of time moving forward. Since accessing memories traces out emotion, which is going backwards in time, remembering is an act of backward time travel for particles in our brains which we experience as time moving forwards. As in, viewed from outside, memories are a mirror of what we experience. But if memory is a physical tree, what are expectations? How could a person experience a tree which has not yet grown? Perhaps rushing torrents of thought forge ghostly paths in places where a branch of memory may someday grow. If so, this is a manifestation of particles in your brain time traveling into the future. Experiencing time moving forwards is like watching a tree of memories grow. But if we experienced time moving backwards instead of forwards, it would look like a tree shrinking as memories disappear. When traveling back in time, yesterday would disappear and then the day before that until all you remember is infancy. In this sense, children dreaming of flying cars and people with dementia are true time travelers. It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards, said the poor old white queen in Lewis Carroll's classic children's tale Alice in Wonderland. Because I studied accelerator physics, I tend to think of the mind as a particle beam. Your mind streaks through time and space and leaves a fractal wake in its path. A conscious being executes a random walk along that fractal path, and that being is you. To the subconscious part of you that exists near the tail end of this streak, looking towards the head will feel like viewing the future. But the conscious part of you that exists closer to the head of the streak will be blind to the future unless subconscious you sends it a message about what to expect. The further ahead your subconscious tries to look, the deeper into your memories it must go, incorporating more and more variables into its model of the future. This is why messages from your subconscious often feel like they are coming from your memory. I know. This is the sort of speculative philosophy that physicists absolutely hate. The rest of this video will be for the physicists. At this point, you may wonder how this entropy-based quantum thermodynamic explanation of time travel meshes with a more standard relativistic explanation. Guess what? It doesn't mesh at all. General relativity doesn't conserve energy, and the quantum thermodynamics does. But there is a simple patch that can bootstrap you from one approximation of nature to the other. In a relativistic calculation of time travel, the clocks of the particles in a traveling twin must resynchronize with the clocks of the particles in the stationary twin. What? You may wonder. If it's so simple, then why does no one teach it that way? The reason, my friends, is that physics education and popularization feeds off of your confusion and gullibility. A bad teacher will show you a picture of an old twin meeting a young twin and tell you that this paradoxical situation depicts the state of the art of physics. He'll give you a partial explanation of the Haffele-Keating experiment, and most students will ooh and ah. A good teacher will show you the same picture and explain that the paradox demonstrates an error in how the theory has been applied. That is the true heuristic purpose of paradoxes, to show you how assuming a limited perspective can cause you to draw stupid conclusions. There are good teachers and bad teachers out there, but I've mainly seen bad teachers on YouTube when it comes to relativity. So, caveat emptor. After having worked for many years in accelerator physics, a field that is essentially applied relativity, I can tell you that while the traveling twin particle is journeying through the stars, she may age at a different rate from the warped perspective of the Earth twin. However, by the time the traveler gets back home to meet her earthbound twin, time has caught up with her, and they are the same age. How this happens makes a lot of sense if you think in terms of trampolines or bubbles, but I won't bore you with that story just now. We can disagree about when and how the earthbound twin ages from the perspective of the traveling twin. Does she age all at once when the ship turns around to head home, as in no preferred reference frame? Does she age gradually throughout the journey in a preferred reference frame? But we can agree that when you throw a ball up into the air and catch it, it only momentarily feels heavier than the ball you didn't throw. Traveling twins work the same way, and that is why the traveling twin only momentarily appears to be younger than the Earth twin. This isn't what the Minkowski diagram implies, or is it? People who don't know anything about how to apply relativity may write Wikipedia articles on the twin paradox and give you silly interpretations of Minkowski diagrams. They give you an incorrect or limited interpretation of what this diagram means. The best lies are lies of omission, after all. With this diagram, one can say several things that are conceptually inconsistent, yet geometrically possible. Every time the space traveler accelerates, his trajectory in phase space is bent, and at each bend, time changes for him relative to the Earth. The further away from the Earth he gets, the slower his clock is relative to the Earth, or lastly, while he travels away from and towards the Earth, his clock is running slowly. These three things can't all be true at the same time. You have to choose one. I'll choose the first one. Each time she accelerates towards Earth, she is lighter relative to on Earth, and time slows for her. Each time she accelerates away from Earth, she is heavier relative to on Earth, and time speeds up for her. So time speeds up, slows down, and speeds up as she lands on Earth. Meanwhile, in a pop-sci or YouTube interpretation of the Minkowski diagram, her internal clock is slowed down when she arrives, and it doesn't speed up to match the rest of her environment. According to what I know about how particles behave in accelerators, I don't think that time can stay slowed down for her indefinitely. It has to speed back up to the rate of her surroundings, otherwise she's going to get very, very hot on her surface. And that is the information which appears to be missing in the Minkowski diagram if you don't know how to properly interpret it. And it is the reason that the picture of the old twin and the young twin meeting each other is wrong. When the younger twin descends to Earth after her long voyage through the galaxy, she is momentarily younger, but time quickly catches up with her. Since she is made of probabilistic quantum things, she would appear in the sky as a youthful muon mist, and slowly solidify on the ground as an old electron woman. For more science fiction debunking and a version of this story told in the language of sand, I recommend the link to my blog below. But if you would like to put stories like this one into a larger context, I recommend the book I've published on Amazon called Apostasizement. If you don't like spending money on books, I have also posted, I think almost half of it, in a space in Quora called The Myths of Modern Physics. It will be the first book in a series of 3. The second one's almost done. Thank you for watching, and please tune in for the next video.